Good evening and welcome to the February 27th, 2024 meeting of the Abington Board of School Directors. I note the attendance of all board members. Please rise for the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The Abington Board of School Directors has convened this evening's meeting at the Administration Building, and the public is welcome. In consideration of the health and safety of the school community, this meeting is also being broadcast live on the Abington School District YouTube channel. This meeting is being recorded and will be accessible on the district's website and cable channel no later than Friday, March 1st, 2024, to allow those members of the public who cannot participate to view the proceeding at a later time. Comments from citizens will be held in person and by phone. Information regarding participating remotely in public comment will be displayed on the screen at the time of public comment, and the board thanks the public in advance for its cooperation. An executive session was held immediately preceding this meeting regarding litigation. This is a place where we hold dignity in high regard. Your voices and your presence are both welcome in this space. Do we have any additional items this evening to bring up?
Yes, Ms. Brown, I would like to make a statement.
Yes, please.
Good evening. Before we begin tonight, I would like to start off by addressing the public regarding the very troubling announcement 2 weeks ago concerning the arrest of Abington Township Police Officer Jordan Jones and his inappropriate relationship with an Abington senior high school student. As I shared then, we are taking this matter very seriously and also recognize the impact this is having on our students and the school community as a whole. In the days following the arrest of Jones, the Abington Senior High School Student Services team opened the College and Career Center for individual and group drop-ins for students. Counselors worked to identify students who could have been impacted by the news, including students who may have experienced sexual assault or had family members impacted by sexual assault. Dr. Swift sent 2 communications following Officer Jones' arrest to high school parents and guardians outlining key information and next steps, including holding a faculty meeting the next morning to review reporting procedures and expectations, boundaries with students, and ways to assist and direct students for additional support. Making counselors available to support students in processing their feelings. The need for parents or guardians to discuss responsible use of social media with their children, as well as the need to move forward in a safe and supportive manner. Ahead of the extended President's Day weekend, Dr. Swift also shared resources and contacts for students in need of supportive measures during the school closure, including the Montgomery County Mobile Crisis, the Suicide Prevention Lifeline, and Safe to Say, among others. Dr. Swift also let parents and guardians know that during the upcoming visits, when counselors visited advisory periods to review course selection, they plan to incorporate additional guidance regarding when to use Safe to Say and when and how to seek support if there are concerns about assault or poor boundaries with adults. These topics were also reviewed with the students during town hall meetings for each grade level, which are occurring throughout this week as well. Additionally, I feel it is important to share how in the past we have regularly worked to support students during exceptionally troubling times like these. Our principal, assistant principals, counselors, and social worker are visible throughout the building daily, engaging with students, taking reporter concerns seriously, and establishing themselves as trusted adults to whom the students can turn whether they have a concern about themselves or a friend. Healthy relationships programming has been part of our fitness and wellness curriculum in both grades 9 and 11, in addition to being a regular part of our K-8 social emotional learning curriculum. High school students have been trained by both the Montgomery County Suicide Prevention Task Force and the National Alliance on Mental Illness on preventing suicides and the warning signs of mental conditions, including what steps to take if someone is showing symptoms. Additionally, although Dr. Swift has been here for just under a month, I thank her for implementing some proactive new measures at the start of her position in an effort to foster a safe, positive, and supportive school culture, such as forming advisory councils for both faculty and students, as well as making daily addresses to the school community to reaffirm expectations. She also tells the students regularly that they are loved and supported by their principal and school staff. Just as it is important to support our students, we are taking steps to prevent incidents like this from happening in the first place. At the next senior high school faculty meeting, Dr. Robert Rosenthal, Director of Student Services, Ms. Taylor, Director of HR, will review policies and superintendent's administrative procedures related to maintaining boundaries, student abuse and reporting, and discrimination and sexual harassment. The Victim Services Center of Montgomery County met with Dr. Rosenthal to assist as we move forward. They will present the teachers and staff of the senior high school in April about these topics and more, including how sexual harassment affects students and creating respectful and safe climates. A separate, more intensive training will be conducted with counselors and pupil services staff to cover at-risk factors and how to further respond and plan appropriately for victims and their families. They will be sharing a parent virtual workshop in the near future too, and are available in the meantime for anyone who wants to fill out a contact form at www.victimservicescenter.org. In conjunction with Student Services Department, the Teaching and Learning Department will further examine and re-examine our curricula regarding content such as healthy relationships, boundaries, and going to trusted adults and concerns. This will be reviewed by the County Victim Services Center as well to ensure it aligns with best practices. These topics and resources for students will also be included in secondary student handbooks. In the meantime, I would like to direct parents and guardians to a great resource that was provided by the Victim Services, safesecurekids.org, which provides adults and useful tools, to easily and comfortably communicate with children in their lives about consent, abuse, respect, and more. I will provide this link in our board brief, but also in my next newsletter, highlights and happenings as well. Lastly, I remind you that on Thursday, March 6th, a health and wellness resource fair was scheduled in conjunction with the high school's college and career fair. The Victim Services Center will have a table at the health and wellness fair, which will be held in the library and is open to any district family. I'd like to take a moment to thank our senior high school administration for their diligence in addressing this matter with students swiftly, and our Student Services Department in supporting both our student body and our senior high school faculty and staff in the days that followed. We are working with the Abington Township Police Department to determine next steps, and I thank our Abington School District police officers, Steve Hockwin and Mike Begley, for helping to fill in at the high school in the meantime. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other business to be brought up from my fellow board members before we go to opening comments from board members? Mr. Allen?
Nothing, thank you.
Ms. Frazier?
Welcome, everyone.
Ms. Eisenhart?
Good evening and welcome.
Dr. Murray?
I'd like to welcome everyone and also to thank Dr. Fetcher and particularly Dr. Swift for making sure that resources are available to parents as well as students and teachers. I think that's an important part of the equation.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Ms. Spalding?
Nothing at this time.
Mr. Muhammad?
Last couple days of the month, but just want to wish everybody a
happy last couple of days of Black History Month. That's it.
Ms. Fazy?
Nothing at this time.
Ms. Hartman?
I just want to thank Dr. Fetcher and Dr. Swift and high school administration, student services, just for everything they're doing to support our kids and our families at this time. I think working with victim services is a really strong statement, and I think it's going to be really helpful moving forward. So thank you.
Agreed. Another thank you. I don't want to repeat what has already been said, but I definitely agree with the parent part. I made a note of that, as well as making sure that everyone knows that our policies that will be discussed, our policies are reviewed annually. So these are not policies that are dated decades and decades ago. These are policies that we look at to make sure that they are up to date. Dr. Fetcher, anything else before we get started?
Nothing further at this time.
Okay, let's proceed with this evening's honors.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. First, I'd like Ms. Ali Artur, Communications Coordinator, to share videos highlighting recent media coverage of the Abington School District.
Good evening, Dr. Fetcher, Mrs. Brown, and members of the board. I know we will recognize our fall sports athletes later this evening, but first I'm happy to share a news story featuring Abington Senior High School junior Gracie Clift, who is making history as the school's first female wrestler, and she just this past weekend earned her spot at States. CBS 3 Philadelphia did a profile story featuring her recent successes on the team. Additionally, last week, Overlook Elementary School received a special visit from the one and only Philly Fanatic as part of the Fanatic About Reading program. The fan favorite mascot acted out one of his stories, which was read aloud by Principal Ms. Karima Boyd. The Fanatic About Reading program is a free incentive-based program that encourages students in grades pre-K through 8 to read or be read to for a minimum of 15 minutes a day to improve their literacy skills. Top-performing schools like Overlook were given a chance to receive this special experience with the Fanatic, which was covered by 6ABC, NBC 10, and CBS 3 News. And finally, 6ABC covered last night the Multicultural Fair and Reading Night at Rydell Elementary School, where students celebrated the various cultures of their school community and engaged in reading activities with their teachers and parents and guardians.
A local teenager's tenacity helped her make wrestling history. Gracie Clift brought home the gold.
It's a first for Abington Senior High School and the league. CBS Philadelphia Montgomery County reporter Kim Hudson has her inspirational story from Abington.
Gracie Clift's dad cheers from the stands as he watches his daughter achieve victory.
It feels really good to put it on.
It's the first gold medal won by a female on the Abington Senior High School wrestling team in the school's history. This comes in the first year the Suburban 1 League had girls wrestling and is a first in league history. Clift says it starts with her aggressive approach to practice.
I also wrestle a lot of my male teammates, so it made it easier to face girls.
While her schedule is grueling, she maintains good grades. Abington Athletic Director Charles Grasty says this 16-year-old has a lot to teach younger athletes.
I hope not only girls, younger girls, but younger boys, get a chance to talk to her and meet her and listen to her story and be very inspirational.
Clift wants to inspire other young athletes to never give up despite facing challenges.
Just keep pushing, just get through the hard days because they're the ones that matter.
And those are the days that help her bring home the hardware. In Abington, Kim Hudson, CBS News, Philadelphia.
All right, Gracie, that's great.
Thank you. Well, a group of elementary students in Montgomery County had a pretty special visitor today. The Philly Fanatic made an appearance at Overlook Elementary to help kids get excited about reading. The Fanatic also celebrated students who submitted their reading logs. All this part of a push there to encourage kids to read for a minimum of 15 minutes each day. We're told a lot of these kids read a whole lot more than that.
In Montgomery County, the Abington School District celebrated the cultural diversity of its students tonight. Rydell Elementary hosted its annual Reading and Multicultural Night in Huntington Valley. The school community there is very culturally diverse, with students speaking more than 19 languages at home. Tonight, families enjoyed different foods from around the world, while students took part in reading games and also story time.
Cultural diversity.
I'm compelled to say Gracie.
Is a major accomplishment, and we're very proud To get to states is something that many athletes dream of. So, very excited. At this time, I would like to ask Dr. Alice Swift to introduce Abington Senior High School student Jane Rickards, the February 2024 Student of the Month at the Eastern Center for Arts and Technology.
Good evening. Dr. Fetcher, Ms. Brown, and the members of the Board of School Directors. Tonight, I'm very excited and proud to share the outstanding accomplishments of our student scholars and athletes and coaches in the fall 2023 season. Jane, I was going to ask would you join me? Thank you. How you doing, dear?
Good, how are you?
Thank you so much. Okay. I would like to introduce senior high school student Jane Rickards, who is the February 2024 Student of the Month at the Eastern Center for Arts and Technology. Jane is being recognized this evening for her outstanding work in Eastern's Robotics and Automated Technology program. Last year, she was nominated by her Robotics and Automated Technology instructor for National Women's History Month Student Spotlight. She is a member of the Skills USA Eastern Students Leadership Organization and was part of the team that participated in the chapter display competitions in 2023 and is competing again this school year. Jane was selected by Eastern's facilities team to work on electrical and facility updates as a paid intern over the summer in 2023. Through her robotics and automated technology program, Jane is completing industry standard certifications through Universal Robotics, E-Series and Core Track, Pro Track, and Application Track. At Eastern's award night in May of 2023, Jane received the Straight A Award. And after graduation from Eastern and Abington Senior High School, Jane plans to attend Penn State Abington and then complete her degree in electromechanical engineering at Penn State Berks. The Student of the Month Award is sponsored by Eastern's Faculty Joint Operating Committee and the Willow Grove Rotary Club and highlight student excellence, success, and service. We're extremely proud of you. Yeah, I am. I want to thank you, Jane, for this honor and everything else that I read off for you. Thank you so much. May I? Yes. Yes. Hi, thank you so much.
And Jane, one moment. I want to, the board, if there's anything you would like to say. I know I definitely have words, but I'll open it up.
Thank you all so much for coming, and thank you for welcoming me into this meeting. Very short notice, but I'm very grateful to be here. I'm glad that my new Abington principal is recognizing me. So short notice, never meeting me before as well. It's such a pleasure being here. I want to thank you all so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Working with Fiddler on the Roof, part of the casting and all that. Yeah, so that was why. She didn't want to come here. She wanted to stay over there.
We won't keep you long, but Jane, I want to say congratulations. The field that you're in, it falls under computer science, and that is one of the top growing professions. Some of these professions will die out, but the skill set that you have will be able to serve the community for a long time. So continue to make history. I'm quite proud of you. Okay.
Thank you.
This time I'm going to ask Dr. Swift to remain and Mr. Charles Grasty to come forward to present highlights of the 2023 fall sports season at Abington Senior High School.
All right, sure. At this time, I'm just duplicating the conversation that Mr. Grasty, our athletic director, is coming to the podium to share the accomplishments of our athletes and our coaches.
Thank you. Ms. Brown, if you would like to
My
join
pleasure.
to greet our student athletes.
Good evening, Dr. Fetcher, Ms. Brown, and members of the Board of School Directors. Tonight, I am very excited and proud to share the outstanding accomplishments of our student athletes, teams, and coaches in the fall of 2023. First, I will call to the podium Abington Boys Soccer, who was led by Coach Randy Garber. Abington Boys Soccer won the Suburban 1 League Liberty title with an overall record of 21-4. This is their 5th consecutive league championship. Coach Garber has led his teams to 10 straight District 1 playoffs and reached the coveted District 1 championship game this past season. The 2023 team also were PIAA state quarterfinalists. Players recognized for individual awards. Abington Boys Soccer had 12 players recognized for their stellar play by selecting them to one of the Liberty Division All-League teams. 4 players made the All-League first team: Jose Rosario Martinez, Braden Delgado, Oscar Hoffman, and Braden Brownholtz. 5 players were All-League second team: Peter Cleary, Daniel Oliveira, Brady Hartman, Brandon Muritage, and Justin Waterfall. 3 players were All-League honorable mention: Brian O'Neill, Sean Westmoreland, and Kyle Sheridan. Also, Braden Delgado was named first team All-Southeastern Pennsylvania and Player of the Year runner-up in our league. Jose Rosario Martinez was named to the Regional All-American team, first team All-State, and Player of the Year in our Liberty Conference. Thank you, Coach Garber and players. Now, I will recognize Abington Girls Soccer, who was led by Coach Rick Tompkins and staff. Abington Girls Soccer won the 2023 Suburban 1 Liberty League title with an overall record of 14-5-1. In the playoffs, Abington defeated Neshaminy by an impressive score of 5-1. They also made the District 1 playoffs for the 5th time in 6 years. Congratulations to our girls on their Suburban 1 Liberty Championship. Abington Girls Soccer had 8 players recognized for their play by selecting them to one of the Liberty Division All-League teams. 3 players were selected to First Team All-League: Piper McGinley, Kara Slavin, and Maddie Oldham. 4 players selected to the All-League Second Team: Maddie Egan, Harper McGinley, Jocelyn Pollock, and Sarah Kaiser. 1 player selected to the All-League Honorable Mention team: Peyton Faribault. Great season, and congratulations, Abington Girls Soccer. Now to the podium, I would like to call Olivia Doherty, Skylar Beal, Coach Erica Devlin, and Coach Janine Lahr. Skylar Beal and Maeve Link were both named to the Suburban 1 All-League Second Team, where they showed great leadership and enthusiasm within our program. Olivia Doherty was selected First Team All-League and was a very instrumental part of our field hockey program. She will be attending the University of Scranton to further her academic and athletic career next school year. Abington Field Hockey finished their season with an overall record of 7-11-1 and made the Suburban 1 District playoffs. The playoff berth was their 5th in 6 years. They traveled to Wissahickon and gave them a hard-fought battle in their last game. Congratulations to our 2023 field hockey team. Next, the Abington football team had 6 athletes recognized by the Suburban 1 Liberty League. There were 3 student athletes that were selected to the second team All-League this season. Christian Broom at defensive back, Basil Walter at defensive line, Antonio Ford at wide receiver, and also we had 3 student athletes that made the All-League honorable mention team. Ryan Smith at wide receiver, Samir Spates at offensive line and defensive line, and Nasir Brown at offensive line. Congratulations to Coach Tolbert and staff, as well as all the football players who worked hard this season. Other Abington Senior High School District 1 qualifiers include girls volleyball, led by Coach Dan Marsh. They made their 3rd straight appearance in the district playoffs and finished with a 15-6 record. The team had 4 players selected to the Suburban 1 Liberty Division All-League. Liz Tanis and Kaylin Kosick were selected to the honorable mention team. Mary Carter and Sasha Moody were voted to the first team. Congratulations, Coach Marsh. Individual accomplishments in the fall also included Jacob Reebstein, Max Hayes, and William Goldstein. Jacob and Max were both District 1 qualifiers at Turtle Creek Golf Course. William was named to the Suburban 1 All-League honorable mention team. Congratulations, and thank you, Coach Peter Suenlarm. Next to the podium, girls tennis, led by Coach Hegarty. Our girls tennis finished the season with an impressive 10-4 record and had 8 players selected to the Suburban 1 All-League team for their stellar play. 2 players were selected to the All-League first team, Jessica Chaco doubles and Gabriela Arguello doubles. 6 players were voted to the All-League second team, Jada Coleman doubles, Marie Young doubles, Regina Kamerschik doubles, Emerson Wildman doubles, Lily Fields doubles, and Jane Pickford singles. Thank you, Coach Hegarty, for a wonderful and outstanding season. And last but not least is our cross-country team. Cross country had a 2-3 overall record in the Suburban 1 League and was very competitive in many invitationals this year. All league selections were Peter Murray and Logan Duff, who were voted to the second team, and Chase Eli, who was with us tonight, who was voted to first team All League. District qualifiers were also Chase Eli, Garrett Faribault, Peter Murray, Tyler Kwan, Logan Duff, and Jackson Fiola. Chase also qualified for the state championship this season. Congratulations to Coach Neely, Coach Parker, and the cross-country team for an impressive 2023 season. Thank you for your continued support for our own Abington student athletes.
Dr. Fetcher, does that conclude our honors for this evening?
I'd just like to take a moment to congratulate all of our fall sports athletes and to thank their parents for all the time that it takes to help them get to places and make sure that everything's going well, and the support that that gives for the school. We appreciate the recognition at the school level, but also at the district level as well. So congratulations.
Indeed, congratulations for being a student athlete and skilled at both. Dr. Fetcher, can you please proceed with this evening's orientation?
Yes, Ms. Brown. Tonight, I'm going to ask Mr. Vittoria to present the 2024-2025 draft general fund budget. There is no action this evening in the agenda. However, I'm going to ask Mr. Vittoria to provide the updates since our last meeting.
Thank you, Dr. Fetcher. This slide shows the knowns and unknowns used to build the 24-25 budget. Local, state, and federal revenue are still based on estimates. As we get closer to May, we'll have a better understanding of what our revenue numbers will be. Since the February 13th board meeting, we've had a second look at our health benefits. The second look came in lower than the first look, so the second look amounts will be used. This slide was presented at the February 13th meeting comparing the 23-24 budget to what we were estimating for the 24-25 budget. At the February 13th meeting, we were estimating $195.9 million of expenses, which was a 3.12% increase. Negotiated benefits that include health benefits were estimated to be $18.3 million, which was an 18.55% increase from 23-24. The second look at our health benefits for 24-25 came in $1.1 million less than the first look, which decreased our negotiated benefits by 6.17%, which was presented at the February 13th meeting. This reduction also reduced our allocated fund balance from $8.1 million to $6.9 million, which is a 13.94% decrease from the amount that was presented at February 13th's meeting. So comparing the 23-24 budget to the updated 24-25 draft general fund budget, but local revenue is estimated at $139.5 million. State revenue is at $45.9 million. Federal revenue is at $2.2 million, which is a 43.62% decrease, which is due to the ending of the ESSERS funds. The total expense is $194.7 million, which is a 2.53% increase from 23-24. The allocated fund balance is $6.9 million, which is a $4.8 million reduction from 23-24, which equates to a 41.02% decrease. So looking at an impact on a typical assessment of $141,130 with a millage rate of 37.07%, this typical homeowner will see an increase of $262.50. Because the Sterling tax credit is being reduced by $3, this homeowner will see a total increase of $265.50, which is a 5.73% increase. Now looking at the impact on the seniors that qualify for the senior rebate program, seniors that fall into the first two income levels would not see an increase in taxes. Seniors that qualify and are in the third and fourth income level will see an increase of $81.50 to $113.50. Looking ahead, on April 16th, we will update revenue and expenses. At the May 14th board meeting, we will ask the board to pass 3 resolutions. The first, to adopt the 24-25 proposed final general fund budget. The second, its intent to adopt the final general fund budget on June 25th, and then to authorize the advertisement of the board's intent to adopt the final general fund budget on June 25th. That concludes my update on the budget.
You can answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Understanding that this is not an action item for this evening, the mics are open if you have a question or a comment. I know I asked this question in the last board meeting and it was answered, of what are we doing to make sure that that senior refund is being used by more seniors this year? And I recall hearing that the information will be sent out at a time that would be better for our seniors to receive it. Can you share with me what that time is and why does it line up so that it's better for them to take advantage? I asked what was being done differently last time.
Yes, we shared with you a large array of actions that were performed last time. We're planning an update as we get closer to the end of the school year and release of the tax invoices, and we'll invite seniors to come here for assistance in completing the forms for those that qualify from the state.
Thank you so much. Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay. We will move forward with agenda item number 3. Dr. Fetcher, can you proceed with this evening's orientation? I'm sorry, 4, which is comments from citizens. Comments from citizens are being conducted both in person and by phone. The phone number to participate in public comment is 267-715-3717 and is featured on the screen at this time. You can call in using your landline or mobile phone. If you're within the room, there are mics to the left and to the right of you. Please be sure to state your name and address.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Joe Rooney. I live in Ardsley. And just as a quick aside, right now in 1945, the Marines were landing on Iwo Jima, and on February 23rd, which is just a couple of days ago, we raised that flag at Mount Suribachi. So just it's a little personal thing for me, and it used to be when Barrios was here, but I just thought I would remind everybody, and I hope the school's aware of that unbelievable sacrifice. Moving on to a different item here, I'd like to follow up on the tragic news from the last meeting with Officer Jones sexually abusing a young girl in our school district. In April 21st of 2022, I submitted a right to know request because I was very concerned about the sexualization that I was figuring out and parents were talking to me about in our school district. And I asked some specific questions, which I didn't get any reasonable answers to. Which ASD employees are authorized to speak with minor children about sexual matters while on duty as an employee? ? What appropriate policy or regulation governs these interactions? How are these employees designated? How are these interactions supervised? How are these interactions documented? Are every one of these interactions promptly reported to the parent or guardian of the student? So what I was concerned with then, and what I think sadly has been proven out, is that sexualization of kids and a normalization of this nonsense in our school district basically emboldens predators. It's not normal people, but you all that are teachers, you understand what I'm talking about. People are doing this. It's not being supervised. The poor kid that was abused bears the burden of having to live with this. But there are supervisory problems that led to this, because when you cross certain boundaries, then those boundaries are no longer identified clearly. So predators are emboldened and kids are confused. And I don't think you all care that much about this, but it still is important. From my background in the military and as an airline pilot, people are specifically held responsible for things. And it doesn't seem like, I hear supervisors here saying, well, ultimately it's my responsibility. But with that responsibility comes consequences, and there's never any consequences. If I was this kid's parents, I would be initiating action against Abington School District, and I hope that they do. Abington School District did not do this, but they facilitated the environment where it could happen. You, as supervisors of the school district, as school directors, you have a responsibility to look at what's going on and go, how can we make sure this doesn't happen again? These people sitting here as supervisors in the schools, they have a responsibility to make sure this doesn't happen and then report it up the chain. And there was a failure somewhere all along that.
Thank you for your voice. There are mics to the left and to the right of you if there are speakers within the room. Mr. Sneed.
Our next citizen for public comment is phone number ending in 2493. Please state your full name and address.
You may hang up. Thank you very much. If there are any speakers within the room, there are mics to the left and to the right. Mr. Sneed, can you confirm that there are no additional callers on the line?
That is confirmed.
Dr. Fetcher.
I have no additional comments from my opening statement.
At this time, we will move forward with agenda item number 5. Ms. Fazy, can you please, 6. Ms. Fazy, can you please read the recommendation to approve the personnel addendum?
I'm so sorry, 1 second.
Not a problem.
Should be reading myself here.
6.1.
Okay, gotcha, I'm over here. That the Board of School Directors approves the changes in personnel as reflected in personnel addendum numbers 6.1 and 6.1A and confidential personnel addendum number 6.1B.
Second.
We have a second. Dr. Fetcher.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. The personnel addendum tonight begins with the retirement of Mr. Todd Berge, Director of Facilities, who has served the district for 3 years. First, I want to congratulate Mr. Berge on his upcoming retirement. Although it is not in his personality to accept the limelight of praise and accommodations, I would be remiss if I did not take a moment for commending his efforts here at Abington School District. Mr. Berge came into our district at a very critical time. We were in the middle of the high school project and other major district projects. Mr. Berge came to us with many years of experience in the field. He committed to working with us for a few years prior to his retirement. Mr. Berge was able to work us through the Abington Senior High School project to successfully open for grades 9 through 12 in 2022. Although we would love for Mr. Berge to stay, we wish him the best to celebrate a career of hard work and many accomplishments, and we thank him for his service to Abington School District. At this time, I'd like to introduce Dr. Carmen Lacine, who is being recommended for the Equity Officer position. Dr. Lacine is a graduate of Lincoln University, where she earned her Bachelor's of Arts degree in elementary education. Dr. Lacine then attended Temple University and graduated with her Master's of Education and Counseling Psychology. She obtained her principal's certification from Cabrini College. She then attended St. Joseph's University and graduated with her Doctorate of Education and Educational Leadership. Dr. Lacine brings a vast amount of experience in the area of equity leadership to our district. She has previously served as a supervisor of equity and assessment for the Westchester Area School District, a racial equity coach for Pacific Educational Group, a principal and equity task force member for Collegium Charter Schools, and Dr. Lacine is currently an assistant professor at Lincoln University in the Graduate School of Education. Next, I'd like to recommend Mr. Justin Brooks for Supervisor of Technology position. Mr. Brooks is a graduate of CHI Institute, where he earned his associate's degree in computer networking. Mr. Brooks held a position for Star Restaurants as the Information Technology Manager for 14 years. The personnel addendum continues with requests for leaves of absence for 4 professional employees, a classification change for 1 professional staff member who has completed the tenure requirements to go from temporary professional employee to professional employee, appointment of 1 long-term substitute, compensation for IP meetings, interpreter and translation services, parent meetings, and support and auxiliary staff items.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board?
Welcome, Dr. Lacine. We're happy to have you. Mr. Berge, as someone who has been on the board, particularly during the time when we were trying to wrap up the high school project, I just wanted to say thank you. You have been the epitome of professionalism during your time in the district. We have leaned on you heavily for your knowledge and your good counsel. And although I'm sorry to see you go, I wish you much happiness in retirement.
I would actually like to echo that as well. When Dr. Fetcher read 3 years, I'm like, there's no way, like 30 years. Your intimate knowledge, has it only been 3 years? I feel like, and your immediate knowledge of everything that's going on here and your ability to speak into detail was just super impressive. And you really set the bar high for your role going forward. So thank you for your service.
Ditto.
Mr. Berge, people who are caretakers and who take care of things are very near and dear. I believe that they have a special place, okay? And and you just kind of wowed me since I've known you with your ability to take care of even the smallest details, making sure our building, especially the high school building, was up to par and that everything got done. And it was just mind-boggling seeing all the things that needed to happen. And just thank you for taking such good care of that building that our students use.
Yeah, some of my earliest information sessions were you just making sure we were informed on what was going on and all the change orders. So thank
So
you.
many changes.
Thank you for deepening my knowledge of that side of the work, and congratulations. And Dr. Lacine, congratulations.
Mr. Berge, thank you for sharing your expertise with us. You definitely help us to make some critical decisions so that our students can receive the best. So now I hope that you receive the best in your retirement. Enjoy it to the fullest. I hope you have great plans ahead. Dr. Lacine, I am very excited to welcome you on board. It is my pleasure to have been a part of this process, and I am encouraged by the work that you will continue to do based off of what our former Dr. Chris Brown has started. You now carry that mantle, and that mantle is shared amongst everyone in the district, so you don't carry it alone, okay? Thank you so much, and welcome. Ms. Flanagan?
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Frazier?
Aye.
Ms. Eisenhart?
Aye.
Dr. Mowry?
Aye.
Ms. Spalding?
Aye.
Mr. Mohammed?
Aye.
Ms. Fazy?
Aye.
Mrs. Hartman?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown?
Aye, ayes have it, and motion passes. Ms. Fazy, can you please read the recommendation for approval of the financial report?
That the Board of School Directors approves the financial report for the period ending January 31st, 2024 as reflected in addendum number 7.1.
Second.
We have a second, Dr. Fetcher.
I'm going to ask Mr. O'Neill to please summarize the January 2024 financial report.
Thank you, Dr. Fetcher. Financial report for the period ending January 31st, 2024. As of January 2024, we received $143.2 million of the $178.1 million revenue budget, which equates to 80.4% of the revenue budget. In January 2023, we collected $137.2 million of the then $168.5 million revenue budget, which equates to 81.5%. Year to date, we are $6 million ahead of last year, which is attributable to $5 million greater real estate tax collections than in January 2023. On the expense side, year-to-date, we have expended $90.4 million of our $189.9 million expense budget, which equates to 47.6%. For the same time period last year, $87.2 million was expended of the then $180.9 million budget, which equates to 48.2%. And that concludes the January 2024 financial report.
Thank you, Mr. O'Neill. We can answer any questions that you may have regarding the report.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board? Ms. Flanagan?
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Frazier?
Aye. Aye.
Ms. Eisenhart?
Aye.
Dr. Mowry?
Aye.
Ms. Spalding?
Aye.
Mr. Mohammed?
Aye.
Ms. Fazy?
Aye.
Mrs. Hartman?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown?
Aye. Ayes have it and motion passes. Ms. Fazy, can you please read the recommendation for approval of the payment of bills?
That the Board of School Directors approves the payment of bills for period ending January 31st, 2024, as reflected in addendum number 8.1.
Second.
We have a second. Dr. Fetcher.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have regarding the payment of bills.
Questions or comments from the board? Ms. Flanagan?
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Frazier?
Aye.
Ms. Eisenhart?
Aye.
Dr. Mowry?
Aye.
Ms. Spalding?
Aye.
Mr. Mohammed?
Aye.
Ms. Fazy?
Aye.
Mrs. Hartman?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown?
Aye. Ayes have it and motion passes. Ms. Fazy, can you please read the recommendation for permits for use of buildings and grounds?
That the Board of School Directors approves the applications for permits of use of buildings and grounds as reflected in addendum number 9.1. All permits are subject to change per the provisions of health and safety plan pertaining to COVID-19 pandemic.
Second.
We have a second. Dr. Fetcher.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. The permit addendum continues to reflect requests for buildings and grounds for meetings and other school events and activities for this time of year.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board? I've said it before, but I think it's worth saying again. The work that's done mostly by teachers and staff, it really helps our students to feel a sense of belonging and to connect with people. So I want to thank you for all our club sponsors. Your work does not go unnoticed. Thank you for your time and your dedication towards our students. Mrs. Flanagan?
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Frazier?
Aye.
Ms. Eisenhart?
Aye.
Dr. Mowry?
Aye.
Ms. Spalding?
Aye.
Mr. Mohammed?
Aye.
Ms. Fazy?
Aye.
Mrs. Hartman?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown?
Aye. Ayes have it and motion passes. Ms. Fazy, can you please read the recommendation for the confidential student matter?
That the Board of School Directors approves the confidential student matter as reflected in addendum number 10.1.
Second.
We have a second. Dr. Fetcher.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Keeping in mind the confidentiality of student matters, I can answer any questions that you may have.
Questions or comments from the board? Mrs. Flanagan?
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Frazier?
Aye.
Ms. Eisenhart?
Aye.
Dr. Mowry?
Aye.
Ms. Spalding?
Aye.
Mr. Mohammed?
Aye.
Ms. Fazy?
Aye.
Mrs. Hartman?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown?
Aye. Ayes have it and motion passes. Dr. Fetcher, any additional reports for this evening?
Yes, Ms. Brown. I provide the conference attendance and professional leaves for your information. I bring your attention to Dr. Stephanie Viola, Assistant Director of Elementary Teaching and Learning, and Ms. Janine Sachs, Supervisor of Literacy, who will be presenting at the Pennsylvania Department of Education's Data Summit in Hershey on March 10th to the 13th. The presentation will focus on Abington School District's process for examining data to ensure instructional decisions impact student learning.
Questions or comments from the board? One thing that I appreciate a lot of things, but the data that we have and how we make it accessible to our community is something that we should pride ourselves on. There's a lot of work to be done, but the data is there for people to be able to see, and then we can work to make things better. If there are no additional questions, we will move forward with comments from citizens. Comments from citizens are being conducted both in person and by phone. The phone number to participate in public comment is 267-715-3717 and is on the screen at this time. Please feel free to call in on either your landline phone or mobile phone. There are mics to the left and to the right of you if you would like to make a comment within the room.
Hi again, Joe Rooney. Less than a 1-hour meeting. There's really a lot of important stuff. I wish you all would make these meetings meaningful and ask relevant questions, because there's time to do it. First, just looking at the budget, you all should be asking questions on that budget all the time. I know you don't understand it. So salaries are going up by $3.3 million year over year. Why? Is that increased head count? Is that just because of pay increases? What is it? I don't know. But what we need to do is get that under control, because somebody's supposed to represent all of the people in Abington are paying on an average of $262 more in taxes next year. So I have several neighbors who are retired, fixed income, single income. Mom and dad both work with 2 little kids. A kid whose father has died and he's working as a manager at a store. All their taxes are going up $262. It doesn't seem to bother you all. You're not asking anybody, how can we cut it? So I have some ideas. If anybody's interested, you can email me or call me, and I'd be happy to give you. But if I remember correctly, Ms. Bomsey left and we eliminated that position. Is that correct? I may have the name wrong. So somehow we were able to stumble through without Dr. Brown. And I have to tell you, and there's no disrespect, but I can't tell you what impact Dr. Brown has had on our district in the time that he was here. So I don't know the incoming equity officer. This is just about the position. We could eliminate that position at $140,000 a year and save that money. Just like our coaches, if you take a look at the money they get paid extra to do it, you could take 3 employees and pay them $10,000 each a year and give them, parcel them out after hours and say, hey, we'd like to pay you $10,000 to cover part of this job. You'd find 3 people willing to do it. And then let's look for a year and see what happens. See if the school survives, if the district survives, or if it actually does better or worse. I can't tell you how it does. There's lots of other things. If we're going to cut salaries, we need to start at the top. So let's start with the assistant superintendent and get rid of one and see if we can survive without it. And then take a look at half the people here and eliminate them. And I have nothing against the individuals, but somebody has to pay all this money, and let's see what jobs really need to be done and what we can get by with without it. I know there's endless paperwork and endless emails and endless reasons for everybody to think my job's critically important. Who was here before Mr. Berge? Maybe you remember, maybe you don't. People come and people go, okay? That job's going to be filled the next day. That's what you find out in life. And when the CEO of an aircraft carrier resigns, somebody else takes over the next day, and then that job keeps going on after that. We can get by with these people and do the jobs that are necessary. We proved it when we shut the schools down. Nobody was teaching. Everybody still got their salaries. So let's see what we can do.
Thank you for...
Is that my time?
That is your time.
I have a lot more things if anybody's interested.
Thank
and I'm
you.
sure
That is your time.
I took 6 minutes of the half-hour meeting.
That
so
is your
thank you for
time. Thank you. Mr. Sneed.
There's one caller. It's the same number. I'm going to answer.
Give it 2 seconds.
Next citizen for public comment is phone number ending in 2493. Please state your full name and address.
You can hang up. Thank you very much. If there are any other callers on the, speakers within the room, there's mics to the left and right. Please be sure to state your name and address. Dr. Fetcher.
I just want to make a comment about positions and personnel within the district. Every time there's a turnover of a position, we evaluate the position, sometimes combine positions, and reassess the effectiveness of that position. So it is something that we do within the district and work closely with human resources, but also and collect data on that position. And sometimes we have eliminated positions, and combined other positions. So I just want to, that is our standard practice, and on an annual basis, when we look at our open positions, that is something we spend a very long time doing to make sure that each position is needed. I will say, as superintendent of schools, I take each of those positions that are open very seriously and evaluate their effectiveness from not only a fiscal standpoint, but also a benefit to the reason why we are here, and that is for our students.
Thank you. Dr. Lazine, welcome. You have an unanimous vote from the board. You are welcome in this space. That takes us to closing comments from my fellow board members. Mr. Allen?
Nothing, thank you.
Ms. Frazier?
Good evening, everyone.
Ms. Eisenhart?
Yes, good night and safe travels to everyone on their way home.
Dr. Mowry?
Nothing this evening, thank you.
Ms. Spalding?
Nothing at this time.
Mr. Muhammad?
I want to acknowledge our educators who worked very hard through a pandemic, 2020, 2021, part of 2022, taking care of themselves, their family, their health, and also ensuring that Abington students receive the quality education while pivoting to online learning, hybrid learning, and they faced a lot at that time, and so it's very disrespectful to say they didn't teach. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you. Ms. Fazy?
Yeah, and I want to add to that, thank you everyone here and for everything that you do every day to go ahead and keep our students educated and learning. Thank you.
Ms. Hartman?
Thank you for being here tonight.
Dr. Fetcher?
Nothing further at this time.
I want to say happy Black History Month. Continue to learn 365 days of the year for those of us who are celebrating or honoring Lent. I pray that this time is a time of reflection and fasting. And with that being said, this meeting is adjourned. Have a good night, everyone.